Shabbat shalom, everybody. Early in my rabbinate, I've been doing this, working in Judaism, since the mid-90s. I don't even want to add up how many years that is. You can do it if you want, but I will be forever 35. But anyway, early on in my rabbinate, when I was working as a cantor somewhere else, a congregant approached me asking where the blessing came that I do every Shabbat and at life cycle moments. And I replied, Parsha Nasso. That's our Parsha. They questioned if I was right. They wanted proof. I got out the Chumash. Upon showing them the portion, they exclaimed, "Wow, you really are a rabbi." Now, they say it can be a difficult thing to be a prophet in your own town. Well, sometimes people just, like I said, need a little proof. Ultimately, we can all be prophets and sages with some learning and fortitude, because that divine spark is in all of us. After our first Temple Emet High Holy Day service in 2010, several people came up to me afterwards saying, "Your sermons were great. I don't know if I ever heard you do a sermon before. Wow, you really are a rabbi." Apparently, certain duties fall to specific roles. In ancient times, it was the high priests that gave what is called the priestly benediction, the Birkat Kohanim, and that is what Krista will be chanting today in our Parsha. And it is actually written that the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, had to say Be'ahava at the end. Do you know what that means? With love, in love. You could not recite this blessing if you had any negativity towards the person, or let's say you're doing it for a community. If there's anyone, of course, at Emet, we're family, we all love each other, even though sometimes we're dysfunctional, we love each other. But that's why I have you all bless each other, and we do this together. But you are not allowed to do it if you have any ill will or negativity in your heart. And it was so severe that if that were the case, the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, had to leave the area, totally get out, and let it be done. So it's important that we know that when we do these things, they actually have specific power and energy upon them. So when we say the words, "May God bless you and keep you," "May God's countenance shine upon you and be gracious to you," "May God be with you always and grant you peace," when we say these words, we actually have to mean it with a full and complete heart. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha, v'yasem lecha shalom. For those of you who like your Hebrew read and not even chanted. In a Devar Torah by Beth Ellen Young, she states, "The priests here are God's helpers in enabling God's holiness to reach the people. They are Klei Kodesh." Can you all say that? Klei Kodesh, or sacred utensils. This was actually something that was recited about in our Parsha last week. The priests are the tools of holiness that bring God's blessing to the people. However, we are all meant, you've heard this before, to be a kingdom of priests, especially after the destruction of the two temples. In Exodus, it stated, and we just came out of Shavuot, Israel at Mount Sinai, "Now, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, you will be my treasured possession out of all the nations, for the whole earth is mine. And unto me you shall be a kingdom of priests, a holy nation." So these are the words that you are to speak to the Israelites. So Moses then went back, summoned the elders of the people, and set before them all these words that the Lord had commanded him. So after taking on the responsibility of keeping the commandments throughout all time, we actually have the power within us and the rules to live by to make this possible. And yet when reciting this blessing, when chanting it, to me, it always felt a little arrogant and self-righteous to stand up there and put up my hands before everybody, doing it all alone by myself. So when we put the blessing forth out, as I say, that blessing reflects upon all of us. So why shouldn't we all do it b'yachad together? This is why I have everyone rise and do it as one community, and that's what we do every Shabbat. There's something glorious about all of us reaching to share positivity, spirituality, and light. So when we do this at very special moments. We do it at Simcha, we do it on Shabbat. And communally, when we do this, we are all Klei Kodesh. We are all holy utensils, embracing and reflecting, channeling, manifesting divinity. In a commentary by Robert Alter, he describes the 3 clauses of the priestly benediction. So think about each sentence that we say as embodying a rising, our musicians, a rising, our singers, crescendo of 3, 5, and 7. So what do we know, those of us that have taken the Kabbalah class and know the Gematria? What do we say when we have things in a state of 3? So think about it. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. That's 3. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha. That's the 5. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. That's what happens when you're holding the microphone. And then with the beauty of these words and the imagery that they actually evoke, the sentence which actually comes after it sometimes just goes completely overlooked. And they shall set my name over the Israelites, and I myself shall bless them. So what do we know about these particular pair of numbers? Like we said, 3 brings order out of the chaos. 5 symbolizes human suffering, transformation, and a turning point in human destiny. So this number represents that divine spirit, that spark that's inside us, that's fundamental to all beings. And we're channeling that when we're saying, may God's countenance shine upon you and be gracious to you. And then number 7, what is Tov? What is 7? Goodness. Okay? So 7 equals goodness, the 7 days of creation, the Sheva Brachot, the 7 wedding blessings, the opportunity to create love, life, and family, therefore reflecting the divine. This is why we were going to bless the wedding couple today, but we'll bless them, like I said, either next week or next month. And Crystal will be chanting them straight from the Torah. Crystal, being the studious religious person that she is, not wanting to do it in the melody that we do it for on Shabbat, but doing it exactly as it should be done in Torah trope. Then later on in the service, we'll bless one another as we usually do with our melody. When we do the words and we chant them and we sing them with all our heart and spirit, we are creating order. We're taking the chaos of suffering and transforming through the divine spirit our human condition individually and collectively into goodness. And they shall set my name over the Israelites, and I myself shall bless them. Whether it be the high priests of ancient times or all of us today, we invoke God's blessing and cause it to rain down upon us, just like when we shower a wedding couple or a bar bat mitzvah with sweetness. Blessing is an action that brings forth goodness and light, creating order out of the chaos, causing a positive emotional and metaphysical occurrence, both for the ones being blessed, the ones bestowing the blessing, and ultimately God on high. When we reach out to the divine, literally calling upon him or her to bless, we are acknowledging our faith and the power that the divine has to manifest goodness and light. In moments of simcha, we want this for our loved ones. And on Shabbat, we wish this not only for ourselves, but for the entire world. As we hear these ancient words being chanted, let us take a moment to reflect upon what it means to bless and be blessed. Let us think about what it means to be a blessing, a kingdom of priests, a holy nation ourselves, and able to manifest light. And as we invoke God's name, Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will, that blessing, protection, and peace will be with all of us. That blessing will be for us, for those we love, and for all the world. And may God's countenance shine upon us all. Shabbat Shalom.